Hello everyone. So today we are going to start one of the most important fundamental chapter of CBSE Business Studies class 12th syllabus. This chapter is important from two different viewpoint. In fact, I must say दो से भी ज़्यादा. पहली important चीज, ये chapter comprise of almost 8 to 10 marks question in your board exams. Another important things, इस chapter के basis पे sometimes your teachers may assign you project work. So it is one of the chapter which is very specifically designed where your analytical brain must be used, you must use your analytical thinking and you should prepare a project. This chapter is important from the very third point of view on all your competitive exams. Also if you're planning to go for a BBA and MBA kind of course, these courses also in their very first or basic years or semesters questions or the principles are these. ये यहाँ पे इन chapters में आप जो पढ़ने वाले हैं, it's gonna be with you forever. If you're a student of commerce, so till then the commerce essence will be there with you. These chapters and their influence will be there in your life. So I ask and I must request and I must suggest you to be attentive, and I would like to make the chapter as interesting as possible. So let's start. As you can see, the name of the chapter is Principles of Management. इस चैप्टर में हम बात करेंगे प्रिंसिपल क्या है, प्रिंसिपल्स ऑफ मैनेजमेंट क्या है, मैनेजमेंट के प्रिंसिपल्स साइंस के प्रिंसिपल्स से या मैनेजमेंट के प्रिंसिपल्स मैनेजरियल टेक्निक्स से कैसे अलग हैं. फिर हम बात करेंगे कौन से मेजर क्लासिकल मैनेजमेंट थिंकर थे, those who have pioneered the concept of management in early ages. So we are supposed to read about Professor Henry Fayol and Professor Frederick Winslow Taylor. He is also known as Professor F.W. Taylor. So Fayol's and Taylor's contribution will be discussed in a greater detail under this chapter. So let's start. If I ask you, principle का मतलब क्या है, तो भाई पहली बड़ी गलती तो यहाँ से हो जाती है, हम principle की spelling ही गलत समझ लेते हैं. What we do is, we simply change the spelling of the word principle. भाई यहाँ ये नहीं करना. Remember, the first thing which is different is the spelling. You may feel ये क्या basics बता रही हैं, but you should remember there are kids who does mistake in this point as well. So these are principles. ये कुछ set rules of regulations, rules and regulations हैं. ये कुछ इनको हम कहते हैं, these are the statement of truth or set of instruction or fundamental statement or guide to action. थोड़ा सा आपका काम आसान करती हूँ. प्रोडक्ट्स खरीदने के टाइम पे हमें एक लेफलेट मिलती है, डायरेक्शंस टू यूज. कौन पढ़ता है पूरा लेफलेट? कोई नहीं. वी अज्यूम कि हमें पता है ये होगा, तो इंडिया इज फेमस फॉर इट्स जुगाड़, सो वी विल डू सम जुगाड़ एंड विल ऑपरेट इट. Same happens here as well, but these are the user manual, a user manual to the manager. When you strive to become a professional, when you try to become a manager, you have been offered a user manual before you become a manager, and these user manual are these principles. Once you are equipped with these principles, आप इनको अपने situation के हिसाब से, अपने human resource के हिसाब से, अपने external environment के हिसाब से एडजस्ट कर सकते हैं, चेंज कर सकते हैं और यूज कर सकते हैं. सो द आइडिया ऑफ दीज प्रिंसिपल्स आर फॉर अ मैनेजर टू गिव हिम एन इनसाइट दैट व्हेन ही इज इन रियल लाइफ सिचुएशन व्हाट प्रैक्टिकल प्रॉब्लम्स मे अकर इन फ्रंट ऑफ हिम. So as you have seen, I have written three major things, that these are the statement of truth, these are set of instructions or the general guideline for a manager to follow. When we talk about principles of management, similarly all these comes in that managerial perspective, प्रिंसिपल्स तो सेट ऑफ रूल्स हैं, वो किसी भी सब्जेक्ट्स में ये सेट ऑफ रूल्स, हर सब्जेक्ट के अपने ग्राउंड रूल्स हो सकते हैं. सो एज इन मैनेजमेंट टू. So principles of management are the statement of fundamental truths which act as a managerial guidance, which provide a manager a basic insight that how he should move in his organization, what steps, how he should take the decision, right? अगर आपके पास 10, 15, 20 ऑल्टरनेटिव हैं तो आप कैसे पिकअप करेंगे that this is the best one for me? So this here comes these set of rules which will help you to take a very basic definition or very basic decision that what is right and what isn't. Now हमने कहा कि मैनेजमेंट के प्रिंसिपल्स, how is this principles of management are different from the principles of sciences. मैनेजमेंट के प्रिंसिपल्स साइंस के प्रिंसिपल्स से अलग हैं. साइंस के प्रिंसिपल्स रिजिड हैं, उनमें हम कोई चेंज नहीं कर सकते, जबकि मैनेजमेंट के प्रिंसिपल्स फ्लेक्सिबल हैं, यहाँ पे चेंजेस पॉसिबल हैं. साइंस के प्रिंसिपल्स लैब टेस्ट्स पे बिलीव करते हैं, दे आर ऑल टेस्टेड इन लैबोरेटरीज, whereas management के principles are tested in organization under different situation. There are different situation जिनमें हम management के principles को test करते हैं. Science के principles usually object oriented होते हैं, उनका outcome पहले से set होता है. They are उनको controlled situation में set outcomes को prove करने के लिए ही टेस्ट किया जाता है. लेकिन मैनेजमेंट के प्रिंसिपल्स जो हैं वो ह्यूमन बिहेवियर पे एप्लीकेबल होते हैं. दीज आर ऑल ह्यूमैनिटेरियन एंड दे आर एप्लीकेबल ऑन ह्यूमन बिहेवियर, और इनका आउटकम कभी भी फिक्स नहीं होता. different human, because human nature is the most complex thing to judge and to understand. So here the outcomes varies. We cannot work for a simple and set outcomes. These are the basic difference between principles of sciences and principles of management. अगर आप मुझसे कहें कि मैम मैनेजमेंट के प्रिंसिपल्स और मैनेजरियल टेक्निक्स में क्या डिफरेंस है? सो देयर आर डिफरेंसेस बिटवीन प्रिंसिपल्स एंड टेक्निक्स. प्रिंसिपल्स टेल्स अस what it is, क्या होना चाहिए, but techniques tells us how it is, कैसे होना चाहिए. Principles are descriptive, they just describe as a statement. Follow करिए ना करिए, there will be a consequence. Maybe consequences happen or may not, because it's all under different human conditions. But when we talk about techniques, techniques are prescriptive. They are prescribed. They are not universalized. ये specific हैं, specifically designed हैं अलग अलग situation में अलग अलग variables को control करने के लिए. So techniques generally talk about how it is, and principles talks about what it is. So these are the basic difference between the principles and techniques. Moving on further, let's discuss these principles in some greater detail. So, these principles can be memorized using a simple formula. I'm going to prepare you. may think क्या formula से तो बच के commerce में आए हैं मैम. Just chill. There is a very simple formula which I'm going to prepare for you in the form of an abbreviation जो आप बहुत आराम से याद कर लेंगे. Now let me write this formula for you. The formula says it is G2 C2 F2 MU. I explain once again. G2 C2 F2 MU. Now see what it is. When I say G2, it simply means these are general guidelines. When I say C2, it has two features. Based on cause and effect and contingent. If we talk about F2, we call it flexible and we call it formed through practice and experiments. When we call M, this means mainly behavioral. And when we say U, we mean universal application. So you can see this abbreviation will help you to remember it all through. That is G2, C2, FU, MU. And this is how you can remember these 5 just words to remember the entire set of features of principles of management. Now, you can see these are general guideline, that is G2. These are formed by practice and experiments. These are flexible, that is F2. These are based on cause and effect relationship and are contingent, that is C2. These are mainly behavioral, that is M, and that is universally applicable, so U. Let us discuss each of this in greater detail. As we say that principles of management are universally applicable. So what do we mean by the universal application of these principles, and why do we call them as a universally applicable phenomena? You know the meaning of the word universal, which means in every organization, wherever we go, be it a business organization, be it a non-business organization, be it a small business, be it a large business, be it a manufacturing unit or trading unit, यही 3 बात आपको याद रखनी है. यूनिवर्सल बोलते ही आपको अपने दिमाग में 3 पॉइंट याद रखने हैं, चाहे बिजनेस स्मॉल स्केल का हो या लार्ज स्केल का हो, चाहे बिजनेस ट्रेडिंग यूनिट हो या मैन्युफैक्चरिंग यूनिट हो, चाहे आपका बिजनेस, चाहे आप बिजनेस एक्टिविटीज में हो या नॉन बिजनेस एक्टिविटीज में हो, everywhere you are supposed to follow what? You're supposed to follow principles of management. So this is called universalization of principles of management. Moving on to the next, and that is general guideline. I was keep talking about this one phenomena that ये बहुत ही general हैं, ये किसी problem का ready-made solution नहीं है. These are not Maggi noodles, hunger का 2 मिनट का friend, easy to cook and good to eat. No, they do not provide you any ready-made solution. और ये point एकदम star बना के याद रख लीजिए. Question में आपसे पूछा जाता है, this feature of principles of management says that managerial principles does not provide any ready-made solution to your problem. Identify the feature, and the feature is these are general guideline. Remember this general, it's very much ordinary and common, सबके लिए common है. Applicable in kitchen, applicable in study room, applicable in hospital, applicable in classroom, everywhere. So these are very very general in nature. यहाँ लिखा हुआ है, these are set of instructions, fundamental truth, general statements. These are very generalized concepts. So these are applicable everywhere without any say. So we call it a general in guidelines. Yes, its application may vary because we know that the environment of business is highly dynamic. Moving on to the very next feature, that is, it is formed through practice and experimentation. Yes, I have told you that under science principles, the results have already been tested. We already have the known outcomes. The outcomes are always known, but still we do the experiment to verify whether the experiments have been conducted in the same length or not. But in management, there is a difference. The experiments done in management are for unknown results. The results are unknown. We keep doing these experiments to find out a new conclusion. तो आपको क्या लगता है, हेनरी फ्योल और एफ.डब्ल्यू. टेलर एक दिन नदी के किनारे बैठे थे और उन्हें कुछ याद आया, चलो भाई कोई काम नहीं है आज, कुछ प्रिंसिपल्स बनाते हैं. Is it so? Definitely no. over the period of time, they have invested a huge time and their research in an organization at different positions. They have handled different human resource, and at the day end, they have come to some conclusions, and these conclusions they have penned down in their research, in their articles and books, and then these things have become the ground rule for the managers. These have become the fundamental truth for general understanding or a guide to a decision making philosophy for every managers. Moving on to the next, and that is, yes, there's always a research work, there's a lot of experienced people involved when it comes to formation of these principles. The very next feature is flexible. अभी हमने कहा कि साइंस के प्रिंसिपल्स का नेचर बहुत फिक्स्ड है, उनके कंडीशंस, उनके टाइमिंग, उनमें रिसोर्सेज का यूसेज बहुत फिक्स्ड है, लेकिन मैनेजमेंट के प्रिंसिपल्स फ्लेक्सिबल हैं. फ्लेक्सिबल क्यों है? टाइम के चेंज होते ही, सिचुएशन के चेंज होते ही, इन्वायरमेंट के चेंज होते ही बहुत सारे फिनोमिना का एक साथ असर है. सो हियर इज नथिंग, वी कैन नॉट कीप एनीथिंग कांस्टेंट अंडर मैनेजमेंट. अगर आप मैनेजमेंट में किसी भी चीज को कांस्टेंट करके पढ़ते हैं, believe me, you're not studying 100% management, because in management is that only field where nothing, no variable is constant, everything is ever dynamic. Even I as a teacher, if I talk about my personal management, today I may be very happy, so I'm teaching with a lot of delight, but this style may get affected if anything happens in and around me. So the idea is that these principles are specifically made by practicing managers as per the demand or situations as they are man-made principles. हम अपने हिसाब से, अपने situations के हिसाब से एक नया principle add कर सकते हैं या existing principles में changes कर सकते हैं. क्यों? क्योंकि हम अपने situation के हिसाब से इसको adaptable बनाएंगे. So definitely it becomes very very flexible. Moving on to the next, अभी मैंने आपको कहा कि this management principles are completely based on very important M, and which is human resource, men. Human resource is one of the most important resource, और इस resource का behavior analysis is the most complex thing. लोगों का perception, reaction और expectation अलग अलग है. Remember, perception, expectation and reaction. This per is very very PER, perception, expectations and reactions. ये बहुत अलग है, और इसीलिए अलग अलग लोगों की जब आप behavior analysis करते हैं तो उनका behavior अलग होता है. You can take a very simple example. कोई खुशी में रो रहा है, कोई दुख में रो रहा है, कोई खुशी से पागल हो रहा है, कोई दुख में पागल हो गया, right? So there are different people. कोई छोटी बात पे कुछ react नहीं करता, कोई बहुत बड़ी बात पे बहुत ज़्यादा react करता है. So the idea is that there are people whose nature are absolutely different, और different लोगों को एक साथ अगर आपको handle करना है as a manager, so you must have some user manual for yourself to handle and to come to a common decision. Moving on to the next, that is, these principles are based on cause and effect relationship. Now here let me tell you, not based on actually, these principles tries to, intend to create a cause and effect relationship. क्यों? Cause and effect का मतलब क्या? अगर कोई बंदा रो रहा है तो रोना उसका इफेक्ट है. रोने की वजह क्या है? What is the cause for these tears? खुशी के आंसू हैं, गम के आंसू हैं. ये चेक करना मैनेजर का काम है. अब मैनेजर ने एक कॉजल रिलेशनशिप स्टैब्लिश कर लिया. कोई भी एम्प्लॉय रोएगा दो सिचुएशन में, खुश होगा तब, दुखी होगा तब. तो यहाँ क्या हुआ? What a manager is doing, he is trying to intend to keep a relationship. कॉज और इफेक्ट के बीच में रिलेशनशिप स्टैब्लिश कर रहे हैं, so that सेम प्रिंसिपल्स को सिमिलर रिपीटेड सिचुएशंस में यूज किया जा सके. आई रिपीट, सेम प्रिंसिपल्स को सिमिलर सिचुएशंस में यूज किया जा सके. सो मैनेजर्स इंटेंड टू एस्टैब्लिश cause and effect relationship so that the same principles can be used in similar situations. The next word is contingent. The meaning of the word contingent is dependent on situation, situational. Contingent is simply situational. So these principles of management are very much situational. Why? Because इनका application जो है वो बिल्कुल situation based होता है किसी particular time पे. According to George R. Terry, management principles are capsules of selected management wisdoms to be used carefully and discreetly. It's the manager's discretion. कहाँ पे क्या यूज करना है, कहाँ पे क्या यूज नहीं करना है. कहीं पे प्रिंसिपल ऑफ इक्विटी में हेल्प, कहीं पे प्रिंसिपल ऑफ इक्विटी may not help. Competition में you cannot talk about fair. There is everything is fair in competition. So what is that? These principles are highly situational. Whatever my situation demands, accordingly I will change its taste and flavor and will apply it. Moving on to the next, that is importance of principles of management. अब आप बोलेंगे मैम फीचर्स के और इम्पोर्टेंस के पॉइंट मिक्स हो गए, तो मैं आपको पहले ये पॉइंट्स दिखाती हूँ और फिर मैं एक बहुत खूबसूरत सा चेहरा बनाती हूँ. यू गोना रिमेंबर दिस फेस एंड यू गोना ऑलवेज रिमेंबर these features or these points of importance. Let's see. The very first feature is principles of management provides useful insight to the manager so that he can look into reality. Principles of management helps to make optimum use of available resources effectively and efficiently. They help to take scientific decisions. They help to fulfill social responsibility. These management principles helps a manager to meet the changing environment requirements, and at the same time these principles helps us in management training, education and research. The names are very difficult. How to remember it? Let's see. हम हैं तो क्या गम है. So I'm going to draw a face for you. Hopefully you're going to like it. Right. So this bigger column, this bigger circle of the face. How was the face, by the way? Hopefully you liked it. Alright. So this bigger part of this face talks about the very first point, that is optimum use of resources. Right? This I talks about insight. Insight का point क्या था भाई? मैनेजमेंट के प्रिंसिपल्स मैनेजर्स को एक यूजफुल इंसाइट देते हैं टू सी टू द रियलिटी. These I's are the S. The another one S says fulfill social responsibility. The another S says taking scientific decisions. This M says managing or meeting the challenges of dynamic environment, and these ERT says education, research and training. So how's it? You liked it? So remember this face. There is a big round O. When you pronounce O, you'll have a O. O is all about optimum utilization of resources. Here at the top, when you have a bindi, where we put a bindi, is the insight. The brain gives you insight, so it provides you an insight into reality. What is happening in reality, you can have an insight. Both your eyes helps you to take a scientific decision. What you are seeing, you are supposed to do, and two, you cannot जो दिख रहा है society की help करना हम नहीं भूल सकते. So scientific decisions and social responsibility. This nose, you can call it nose. This is what managing the dynamic environment situations, and this lips portion talks about education, research and training. So this is all your complete face. You can just remember by putting at different areas over your face, and that's one of the technique to memorize it. Hope you liked it. So move on to the next. If we get into the detail, we see yes, Principles of management provide useful insight into reality. A manager gets a user manual, a guideline, a set of instructions that if he is stuck up in a particular situation, what he should do to come out of it and to come to a particular decisions. So these principles helps or improves the knowledge and ability of understanding different situations or different managerial circumstances at the very right time, so that a manager can take decisions. So this provides the insight to a manager, improves the knowledge, skills and ability to understand the managerial situations. Also, these principles helps to make efficient use of resources. When I say efficient use of resources, I simply means that the wastage of resources should be very low. Physical, financial and human resources should not be wasted. These should be administered in such a way that there has to be no prejudice, there has to be no trial and error method. These are all tested methods, proven methods must be used so that the wastage of resources should be minimized. हम wastage को क्या कर सकें? Minimize कर सकें. Also, these principles helps us to take scientific decisions. How scientific decisions? अभी हमने कहा कि यहाँ पे हम कोई biasness, कोई prejudice, कोई किसी भी प्रायर आइडिया से इन्फ्लुएंस नहीं है, हम रियलिस्टिक चीजों को, हम लॉजिक्स के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं. सो साइंस टॉक्स अबाउट फैक्ट्स एंड लॉजिक्स. सो हियर वी सी फैक्ट्स एंड लॉजिक्स एंड विच हेल्प्स अस टू टेक द लॉजिकल डिसीजन, द रियलिस्टिक डिसीजंस फ्री फ्रॉम पर्सनल बायसेस. ऑल्सो इट हेल्प्स टू मीट द चेंजिंग इन्वायरमेंट रिक्वायरमेंट. इन्वायरमेंट की रिक्वायरमेंट को फुलफिल करना. इन्वायरमेंट की रिक्वायरमेंट को आप कैसा पूरा करते हैं भाई? ये मैनेजमेंट के प्रिंसिपल्स आपको इन्वायरमेंट की रिक्वायरमेंट्स को फुलफिल करने में मदद करते हैं. इफ द एनवायरमेंट सेज दैट द वर्ल्ड नीड अ डायनामिक लीडर, सो द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन यूजिंग द skills of these principles would be able to create a dynamic leader. So it provides an effective and dynamic leadership and help the organization to implement the changes. आपके मैनेजर को ये इंसाइट मिलता है कि इस सिचुएशन में व्हाट इज राइट. कोरोना के टाइम पे स्कूल मैनेजमेंट हैज डिसाइडेड टू क्विकली स्टार्ट ऑनलाइन क्लासेस, बट स्टडी एट होम इज प्रोवाइडिंग ऑनलाइन क्लासेस सिंस एजेस, फ्रॉम लास्ट 10 years. So you can see that a good leader should be a good forecaster who can see that future belongs to this. Future belongs to e-platforms. So all the e-platforms are ready made for you. Why this is being made for you? So that the changing environment situations can be meet up easily. Next is it fulfills social responsibility. Now what is social responsibility? Social responsibility is treating everybody fair, offering them quality product, charging them a pretty well price. So the idea is that principles of management not only helps in achieving organizational goal, but also at the same time it helps to achieve the personal goals, the environmental goal and the social objectives as well. So you can become fair to your employee. You can give a part of your profit as CSR. So at the same time you are taking care of all those social tempering which you are doing in course of your business activities. The very next point says education, research and training. So this says that management principles gives us an idea and gives you an insight that these are the area where the future changes may take place. So if when you see the future substantial changes, what you can do, you know that this is the area where I need to educate myself, where I need training, where some more research must be conducted. So when you have a proper idea of principles of management, you can connect it with what is my lacunae, where am I lagging behind. If I need education, let's get educated. If I want to get my employees, give my employees some better training so that I can increase their output, provide them training. If you really want to ask your R&D department to work something, you can take a very easy example. Maggi Pichku is the easiest example. Maggi Pichku is a famous product, reason being it offers you the sauce, There were many other companies, hence, which were offering sauce in the market in the same industry. But how Maggi Pichku has become, and Maggi sauce has become in the list of favoritism, because this has brought an idea of an easy opener with all the sachets. So the company has done R&D. The R&D department of this company has done enough so that the company could get a space in the market. And following to this, now you can see almost all the refills packets have an easy opening. It is a part of management decision. So when they know the principles of management, they know the mindset of consumer, that what consumer want, ease of operation. So there's a new innovations being added in their product design. So hopefully the importance and the features of principles of management being clear. In the next class, we're going to talk about Henry Fayol and F.W. Taylor in greater detail. So till then, study at home.